today. Oh my goodness, have we got a good one today. This is homegrown, individual who came up through the ranks in Renatus as a student, and now as time has gone on, has built for himself an incredible real estate business, an empire, and is living the life of his dreams, and I would think a whole lot of others, folks too. Daine Clark is a superstar inside of our community. He's an individual who started out, not knowing anything about real estate. Now he is a seasoned pro, and he's transforming lives because he is so willing to give back. We were thrilled that we could bring him out on the Renatus InvestEdge today. He's going to be talking about, seller finance deals and how to make things happen so that you don't have to use your own money or your own credit. So I'm going to bring Mr. Daine Clark out here and allow Daine to share a little bit about his background, his story, and some of the deals he's doing so that he can give you instruction on how you can go out there and do them too. Daine, welcome.
You bet. Thank you, Bob. I kind of hear myself. Should I turn myself down?
Well, what? Turn the speaker on your computer. Well, although you got to hear me, so
Oh, that's true.
Find the happy medium, Daine. However you do that.
Yeah, no worries.
Now we can't hear Daine.
Myself talking.
Now I can't hear Daine at all.
Yep.
Oh. Can you not hear me?
You can always tell that this call is live. There's never a doubt.
Yes, you can. Never.
That this is a live call.
Never a doubt at all.
Test.
There now we can hear you.
Not hear me.
Holy smokes, you went away for a minute there.
Oh, sorry. I'm not sure if I touched something or what, but yeah, a little bit of my background. I don't have to get into the nitty-gritty detail, but I grew up on a dairy farm, and let's just say that my own mother coined the phrase, I guess, painfully shy. Like, I was known by everybody, aunts, uncles, friends in school, you name it. My own parents. I was always labeled painfully shy. Just you don't learn personal skills in the milk barn milking cows. If you use that kind of language with people, you wouldn't have any friends. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, so when I first got introduced to Renatus, that was actually my number one hang up. My wife, bless her heart, she was 6 months pregnant with our first kid. And so we were in that deer in the headlights moment of like, what are we going to do in 3 months of this new baby? And she was the one that said, Daine, I think you should do this. And to this day, I still chalk that up as pregnancy brain. I don't know what she was thinking, but because I'm sitting there like, honey, I don't have the personal skills, but she says, no, I think you should do this. And she says, I think someday you'll be the guy that helps other people. I couldn't see it. And so again, bless her heart, she saw it, and here we are. But the cool thing about this, I guess the funniest thing about this is even today, after doing hundreds of real estate deals and dream homes and vacations, whatever it is, she gets to take all the credit for it because this was all her idea. So, but yeah, Renatus, I feel like Renatus was my personal development journey. Yes, I learned how to invest in real estate. Yes, I learned how to use other people's money and find $100,000 discounts and houses in my neighborhoods, all those things. Yes. But at the end of the day, Renatus set me free to develop as an individual. And changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. But yeah, I feel like that's all you need to know about me. Again, other than my biggest goal was to raise my family. I wanted to be not necessarily a stay-at-home dad, but I wanted to be a very present father in my kids' lives. And that's what Renatus meant to me from the beginning. And we've got 4 kids, almost 5. Let's see, number 5 is due it's in May. So however many months that is, 5 months from now, 4 months from now. And it's hilarious because we have boy, girl, and then another boy. And so boy family with one sweet little girl. She's going to be able to fight her way and hold her own. I guarantee it. But Renatus meant for me to be that, I guess arguably stay-at-home dad in a way. I get to spend a ton of time in their lives and help them. And we homeschool all of them. And it is insane but so much fun. And it's cool because because of Renatus, we can travel the world, take our kids with us, and still they're getting a great education. And in fact, I think Jay said this, but it triggered the thought that when my kids turn 16, I'm not going to call it a gift because I'm going to make them pay for it. But when they turn 16, they are buying their Renatus Essentials, and they will be going through that as part of their curriculum. And they're going to have to pay for it. It's not a gift. The gift will be that I told them to buy it. And
I love the way you think, Daine, and that is absolutely fantastic. And by the way, you know, make sure you give Paige a big hug for us because, were it not for her, you wouldn't be sitting here talking to us today.
I would not. I'd probably still be either milking cows or on a roof somewhere because there's no dairy farms in Salt Lake, and that's where we had gotten married and lived. And so the next best thing from farming or milking cows was roofing. And so I'd probably still be roofing, to be honest, if it wasn't for her saying, you should do this. But anyway, that's not enough about me. Let's get into some deals. I remember when I first joined, I told myself, if all I do, I spent, I don't know, tens of thousands of dollars, got everything that Renatus had to offer. I said, I want the best of the best because that's what I want for myself. And I remember telling my enrollers and everybody that was helping me set goals, I said, if all I do was buy one house every single year for the next however many years, 10, 20, 30, whatever, for the rest of my life, whatever, it didn't matter. If all I did was buy one house every single year, that all my dreams would come true. This would all be worth it, right? All those things, when I was signing on the dotted line. And, Renatus destroyed my dreams. I need to do the math, but I would dare guess that I'm closer to buying one house every single week since I joined Renatus to the goal of one a year. I've been a part of Renatus for, I think, 9 years, almost 9 years. And we've done hundreds and hundreds of deals, changed my life. But I will say this, that when I first joined, and we're going to get into one of the deals, but when I first joined, I noticed that I thought about real estate like this much. Not this big, of course, but even this much. I thought that real estate was buying rental properties. And when I joined Renatus, I got introduced to flipping houses, which I guess the HGTV has a lot of flipping houses, but it's, again, I wouldn't call it flipping houses after flipping houses and watching HGTV TV. But I thought that's what it was, flipping houses and buying rentals. And oh my goodness, Renatus opened my eyes, peeled back the curtains, and helped me realize that it is so much more. And I've learned so much to only realize that there's probably a heck of a lot more that I haven't learned. But I will say that the things that I have learned changed my life even more. And so the deal that we're going to get into is actually a product of learning that, there's more than just flipping houses and buying rentals, because that's what I started doing out of the gate. That, oh my goodness, you can look at things so much differently. And so I'll toggle my screen on and off as we go, as it gets pertinent to share some details. But I'll say this: I called the deal that I chose to share today, and if we have time, we can get into more. But I call this one my signature move, because you take everything that has to do with flipping houses and buying rentals, and let's call it merge them all together and sprinkle on some amazing sauce that I learned from what's his name, Tony Scotti, basically other instructors that became instructors long after I had joined. That was one of the most beautiful things that I remember seeing. I paid my money, I joined Renatus, I got educated, and all of a sudden Renatus would say, hey, there's more, there's new stuff out there. And I would watch that and be like, oh, where was this when I was just getting started? But the next best time to start that was that day. And so sprinkling on extra things that I had learned along the way as Renatus was pumping out more value, added that, sprinkly dust, I guess, to all these things that I would learn. And so without further ado, let's talk about this deal. I chose this one because it's a deal that I ended up helping another guy on. I still made money on it, but I help somebody else do what I call that signature move. And I was told once that you don't know something until you know how to help somebody else understand it. You don't know something until you know how to teach it. And so to me, like, this was the first one that I was like, you should do this to somebody else. And they were like, yeah. Well, I'll tell the story. So I have them, and I'm going to share his name. I just won't share the last. Gentleman named Jeremy comes to me and says, Daine, I want to flip a house. And I said, yeah, a lot of people do. Okay, what you got? And he starts telling me about this house. In fact, here, I'll share the screen for just a minute here, and then we'll toggle it on and off. So let's see. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see this. Or I guess I can't see you now because now you can't see me.
We can totally see it.
You can see the screen. Okay. So somebody comes to me and says, Daine, I want to flip this house. This is in, let's see, it gives me the address up here. It's like Magna. Yeah, Magna, Utah. And so not too far from where I was living at the time. And he said, Daine, I've got this really, really good deal. We're going to buy this house for $188,000 in Magna, Utah. And after we fix this house up, we're going to be able to sell it for $420,000. So right off the bat, I'm like, man, Jeremy, you got a good deal, my friend. I like this already. And so he tells me, here, I'll toggle this back. Let's see, stop share. All right, I think I'm back. In fact, just out of curiosity, if I share the screen still like this and I toggle to this, can you guys still see me?
No, we see.
Or is it like picture in
ourselves.
picture? You see ours? Oh, okay, cool. So if I toggle it off, now you can see me.
Now we
can see you.
I thought I was gonna like break the system there. I was like stepping out of the matrix for a second. Anyway, so Jeremy's like, Daine, I want to flip this house, and I'm like, yeah, I see it. You buy this for $180,000, and the way he found this was, because again, just trying to think of all the questions that people are going to ask. It was somebody who passed away, inherited the house, and bless their heart, mom and dad did not take care of it because in their old age, it was hard. It's hard to take care of a house when you're 90 years old or however. And so inherited the house, piece of junk, was borderline hoarder home, needed so much work, like bad. Cat urine, dog feces, whole 9 yards. And so the inheritors, what do they call that? The inheritors, the heirs that inherited the house were just like, I mean, I can only imagine, probably looking at each other. So do you want to live in mom and dad's old house, or do you want, I'm not living in my, and so they said, we got to sell this. This is a problem. We got to get rid of this house. And if I'm not mistaken, I've done so many that I might be remembering things, but I think they also inherited a mortgage. And so they inherit a mortgage on a piece of junk, ugly house that now they have to pay. And they're just like, no, I don't want this house. It's a headache. And so they wanted to sell it. And that's how we ended up getting connected to them, was we want to sell it. And we know that nobody's going to want it because, again, piece of junk, ugly house, smells like cat urine. And so $188,000 on the purchase. And I'm just gonna cheat here really fast and look at this. $45,000 is what we figured we could remodel this for, right? It needed a lot of cleanup, not tons and tons of like makeover. A little bit kitchen, a little bit of bathroom, some carpet, some paint, but a lot of cleanup and tons of bleach and what do they call that? The odor relief stuff. Anyway, $45,000 on the remodel. And so really $188,000 on the purchase, $45,000 remodel into this, basically into this. I'm not a head math guy, but let's call it 200 some odd thousand, low 200s all in, and can sell this house for 420. Yes. And so I said, yes, Jeremy, how about I give you a bunch of money? Let's flip this house together. I'll basically be like your bank. And he's like, done. And I was like, yeah, like we don't need to call the bank. Let's just do this. We don't have to worry about that, especially if the goal is to only own this for 4 months. Anyway, so we buy the house together, all cash. He starts remodeling it, and I'll tell you, like, I'm not kidding. When you watch a class from Renatus, that instructor's voice is going to be in the back of your mind the entire time you are out there taking action on stuff. And so I was like, I want to be that guy for Jeremy. And so I was like, Jeremy, sorry, backstory. Jeremy told me, because I asked, what his goal was. And he's like, I want to flip houses so that I don't have to flip houses. I was like, yeah, sounds interesting. But again, I was there. And he's like, yeah, I want to flip houses so that I don't have to flip houses. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I want to flip houses, make money, buy rentals, long-term holds. And I was like, interesting. Well, maybe you should consider doing it all in one. And he's like, yeah, that sounds interesting. I was like, yeah, like I promise you, if you do it all in one, it's just so much easier. You can get your money back. And he's like, yeah, but at the same time, like, I feel like I want to be a landlord later. Like, I don't want to do landlording now. I want to get all this money and then retire from flipping, buy rentals. I see Bob shaking his head because I know he knows what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so Jeremy's like, yeah, this is the idea. And I was just like, do it all in one. You don't have to be a landlord. Like, what if, here's an idea. What if we flip this house and instead of just sell the dang thing, sell it on seller financing when you're all done with it? And he's just like, yeah, I've never heard of that. Whatever. Goes his merry way. So we're going through and fixing the house. You know, he's hiring contractors. And so here we are like a month later and he's, let's say, halfway through the project. And we're talking, he's like, yeah, we're getting things done. We're doing things. And again, I bring it up like, hey, I remember when I told you, just plan that bug again. Maybe we should consider possibly thinking about seller financing this house when you're done. Right. And he's just like, yeah, and blows me off again. Here we are almost ready to sell the house. And I like really lay it on this time, right? Here we are like probably a week away from getting ready to list. And I was like, Jeremy, hear me out, buddy. And I said, what if all you did was check the box, seller financing? Any realtors are going to know what I'm talking about. When you list a house, you go check all these boxes and you say, yeah, we'll take a conventional, we'll take FHA, we'll take all these different types of offers. And I just said, just check the box, seller financing. It's not going to hurt you. Let's say you have a cash offer, then great, you'll sell it cash and you'll make your money. But what if somebody comes along and says, I want that house on seller financing? Don't leave your options on the table like that. And so anyway, so he is the realtor actually. So he gets ready to list the house and he takes my advice, just pushes the button, seller financing. And I am not kidding. 1 week later, I can't remember what I was doing, but my phone starts blowing up. He is calling me back to back to back, texting me. I must have been busy that day because I remember just text after text after text. And he's like, Daine, somebody wants to buy it on seller financing. Call me. Anyway, fast forward here. Let's share some numbers really fast. I gotta share the screen first. Share the screen, bam, go back to here. So here we are, a few months later, somebody comes knocking and says, I will take the house on seller financing. And so here's what I tell them to do. We're gonna share some numbers here and then I'll turn the screen back off. And so I said, all right, Jeremy, here's what you're gonna do. Hybrid lease option to seller finance, because yes, you want to sell this on seller financing, but I would like to get paid back. And so the money I gave you, I'd like to get paid that back. How about you just go get a traditional mortgage? And so I tell them, hey, just go get a 30-year mortgage, right? And everybody knows the last several years, interest rates have been through the roof. And so even at the time, interest rate being 8% for him, I said, okay, go ahead and go get yourself a 30-year mortgage. If you want to know the type of loan, this is called DSCR, debt service coverage ratio. Basically, it's an investment mortgage. Traditional, I mean, you go talk to any loan officer, they know exactly what this is. So I say, go and get yourself a DSCR loan and refinance $315,000. And so that's what he starts. Let me stop the share. That's what he starts doing. So he calls up the loan officer, basically says, hey, I own this house. I would like to refinance it, $315,000. Okay. And so here's where things get really interesting. Cause I tell him like, hey, this is going to be lease option conversion to seller financing. So you want a down payment. You're not a landlord. You're not just going to collect like $1,500 from your client. You're collecting, let's see, on this one, $42,000, I think it was. Let me just look at my cheat sheet. $42,000. So 10%. basically. And so his client gives him $42,000. He calls up his loan officer and says, hey, will you please get me a mortgage on this house? I fixed it up. I would like to keep it as a long-term hold, and I want to refinance it. And that he does. So if you remember, we bought it for 188 and some change, put in 45,000. So now we're like 130-ish, or sorry, 230-ish something. And now getting a loan for 315, right? And so if you're picking up what I'm putting down, that's more than what he owes me. He only owes me like 200 something. And so he gets a loan for 315, only owes me 200 something. He actually pulls out a bunch of cash when he refinances this house. But wait, he also has a new client that gave him $42,000 cash to move in to this house. And so here he is with, again, the same house that he was going to flip and just cash out and whatever. Let's look at the cheat sheet, because again, I'm not a head math person or a very good memory person. All right, so here we are. So in the refinance, he gets $164,000 back, and which includes the $42,000. Oh, you can't see my fingers. I'll stop talking with my hands. So he receives the $42,000 from his buyer. He receives a bunch of money from the refinance. I get paid back. And so long story short, here he is paying 8% interest to the bank and received $97,000, which also means that he got paid back, because I forgot to mention. Let's scroll up really fast. I forgot to mention this. So I brought him $170,000. He paid for the remodel out of his cash, and then he brought the $18,000 in down payment. Hopefully you guys can you guys see where I'm highlighting
we
this?
can see him.
With my okay, cool. So he brought $66,000. I brought $170,000, and we bought it cash together. So out of his $66,000, he got all of that money back in the refinance, and received, let's call it $97,000 on top of that, if I'm making any sense at all. So he's $97,000 richer. And for some people that I go, this goes really fast. Put it this way. Let's pretend that he had a checking account that he had $66,000 in. He used that money to buy this house and remodel it. So now that checking account is $0. And now when this deal is all done, he's refinanced it, he's received his money from his end, I call the end buyer. Now he has $164,000 in the same account that used to have 66. So he got his 66,000 back, but now he is ahead $97,000. Now let's scroll down and talk about the monthly on this. Because at the end of the day, his buyer is paying him this software is going to say rent, because not a lot of softwares do seller financing, but whatever. It's cash flow. Cash flow is cash flow. So $3,000 a month is coming in from his client, plus $300 for taxes, insurance, things like that. He also does have to pay taxes and insurance. So really that's a wash. But his mortgage payment is $2,311. So he is now cash flowing $689 a month, or $8,264 per year. And if you do the math on that, well, technically it's infinite, because let's see, where's our, like the calculator is going to put in an error if you say, hey, I'm $97,000 in my pocket, or $97,000 richer to go do this deal, and I'm getting $689 a month in cash flow. Mind you, not a landlord as well. Like if the house breaks, if the roof leaks, if the water heater breaks, if the toilet gets an action figure stuck in it, the buyer is going to pay for all of that. And so he is literally an infinite return. $97,000. He could go do two or three more of these now. And so here, I'll come back to here.
Plus, Daine, the beauty of that is the tax benefits that go along with that. I hope you're going to talk about that as well.
Oh my goodness. So at the end of the day, when Jeremy's like blowing up my phone, he's like, help, like these guys want it. I sit down and I run these numbers for him. And I kid you not, he's like, Daine, why didn't you say this in the beginning? Like, if you told me this is how good that, I was like, dude, I tried. But this is the beautiful thing about Renatus is you sit down and you get people, you listen to people share what they are literally doing like this. And all of a sudden, reality is like, oh my gosh, I could do that. Like, that's just a fix and flip that you add in a buy and hold nature to it with a refinance or a BRRRR method, whatever, and then add in a sprinkle of a little seller financing it's simple in nature. Sure, it's might be complicated for the newbie. You know, let's say me 9 years ago looking at this, I'd be like, huh? Does not compute. But hanging around people that are in Renatus, you hear this over and over and over again, get your questions answered, and all of a sudden you're just like, why didn't I think of this?
Right.
Brilliant. And so here Jeremy is, and I had to laugh because he's like looking at the settlement when this is all said and done, and he's like, how did this happen? I'm literally $97,000 ahead. I could go do two more of these, potentially three more of these deals with that same money, and I'm cash flowing. Like, you're helping me achieve the goal that I wanted, the long-term cash flow, in the same deal as what I thought I had. Anyway, so now Jeremy has done this a bunch more times on other deals as well. But here's where this is why I call this my signature move. Because when I first got started, I mean, I had nothing. I was roofing, and my wife was working at the Apple store. And when she said that she's going to have the baby in 3 months. So we joined Renatus. 3 months later, she's a new mom, quits her job. I'm now the sole provider of our household. And I had no money on a roofer's salary. And so when I saw this, thank you, Renatus. When I saw this, I was like, I could literally do one deal that would then allow me to do two, that would then allow me to do four, that would then allow me to do 8, and so on and so forth, with the same original principle used to buy the first house. And again, we could go way deep into this, but the beautiful thing about Renatus is you don't even have to have the original principle, because you learn how to use other people's money. And that on other people's money, I had to in the beginning. And so here, when they tell you like, oh, like you got to save up and then get buy and holds, like, no, just think about it smarter. And so just blew my mind to be able to do it all in one and still get cash flow and go do more. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And so brilliant. Anyway, we could take a few questions, or I could talk about more.
Well, I'll tell you what,
not everyone turns out like this. This is just a
yeah, the interesting thing about it is that so many times individuals are a little bit, behind the curve, the learning curve, because they don't teach this in school, right? Mm-hmm. So the idea that you just presented, where you buy a property, you're going to use somebody else's money to purchase the property to fix it up. He used some of his own money, but he used yours as well, and then you're going to be able to do a cash out at refi, so that you can enjoy all of the benefits of receiving that money back into your bank account without tax consequences, immediate tax consequences, right? And then over time, you're going to be able to depreciate the property and be able to enjoy a lot of the different benefits that go along with that, so that it helps to offset any of the gains that you realize. So yes, you get the power of the dollars you've made working for you on future deals. And a lot of folks just don't understand the concept behind an infinite rate of return or the tax benefits that are associated with real estate. This deal illustrates all of that. And that's what creative real estate is all about. It's not just buying a property, fixing it up, selling it, starting completely over, buying a property, fixing it up, selling it. There's a lot of creative ways that you can generate a stronger cash-on-cash return, and you just demonstrated it.
And I've absolutely loved. When I first joined Renatus, I thought I wanted rentals because not only did I only think that was like the only thing that existed for passive real estate, but I didn't know that I didn't want rentals. I thought I wanted them. But to me, rentals are not passive. I mean, you still have a lot of bricks and sticks, a ton of moving parts that all has to come together and perfectly work. One little something could ruin your day, like a leaky water heater or something like that. But with this is way closer to the ultimate passive. And I have had people call me and say like, Daine, the sewer is backing up out of the basement. Somebody came out and looked and it sunk in the middle between the house and the street. It sunk in the middle. And so they're going to have to dig that sucker up and I mean, $20,000 bill. And they didn't call me to be like, hey, you're my landlord, you got to fix this. They called me to say like, didn't we get me some kind of like home warranty? And I remember thinking like, I don't think they cover that, but I'll send you the home warranty. And they foot the bill. They fixed the sewer between the house and the street on their dime because this is their house. And so you're not a landlord. It's just straight cash flow. And if something goes wrong, the benefit of home ownership is both all the upsides, but also some of the downsides. Anybody that's ever owned a house, you know, like, yeah, darn it. Yep. So I'd rather only own my house and have to deal with that kind of stuff. And this was what really got Jeremy thinking, okay, I got to think about this all differently. He's a proud Renatus student now, of course.
That's fantastic.
But
well, here's another thing to think about too, Daine, because you know, there have been individuals that, you know, I've talked about strategies like this with, and they go, yeah, but you see, there's always the yeah, buts. And one of the yeah buts is, yeah, but what if down the road, let's say they go 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and then they don't pay me? What's your response to that, Daine?
Oh, dude, I'll tell you about the house I did last year. So I had, oh my goodness, I felt bad for this. I did everything I possibly could. In fact, you know what? I technically didn't foreclose, but I had one last year that similar. She brought $127,000 down on a house in West Valley, $460,000 or something like that. And so she put $127,000 down, paid really well. She actually put a basement or a mother-in-law apartment in the basement. I mean, she made this house beautiful. I mean, did a great job. And then all of a sudden just stopped paying. And that was right towards the end of the year. And come January 1st, I think she was like 3 months late. And I had an attorney, send her some letters and just say, hey, like, I didn't say go get her, but I was like, hey, like, let's just let her know, like, hey, here's your rights. Here's what's going to happen. Like, here's what happens next. Here's the time frame. Work with me though. Like, I want to help you. Let's figure this out. And so come December 31st, like she paid it all up and came current. January 1st, no payment. February 1st, no payment. Went through the whole thing again, hired the attorney. I say, hi, sorry, I know the last one was false alarm. So, I had to pay him for that. But then the second time around, started down that road. But this time she didn't just ghost. She just said, you know what? Let's figure this out. And I'm one of those that I don't want to foreclose. In fact, to illustrate this, I guess I've done, 300 some odd deals, and I have literally foreclosed on one out of all of those deals.
Good for you.
And this was not one of those, because she's like, Daine, let's figure this out. And so I said, all right, what's going on? Why can't you pay? What's the goal? Whatever. Originally, she was like, well, technically I wanted to have the house and eventually cash flow. That's why I put the mother-in-law, because I was going to move out and cash flow this house. And I said, tell you what, now that I know your goal, thank you for sharing, by the way, now that I know your goal and what it was, and it's obviously not working, how about we do this? I will take over the house and I will sell or finance it again. And if I am able to create any kind of payment that's larger than the one that you are paying me, I will give all of that excess to you. In fact, I remember we were actually on vacation and we're driving to the hotel or whatever. And I get that text and she's like, where do I sign? When I said that, hey, I will just take this over. And so literally she gave me the house on I didn't even have to foreclose. She gave me the house on that premise that I said, hey, I'm a team player. We will figure this out. Whole 9 yards about selling the house again. So I took the house, sold it a second time, received a second down payment. And she knew that if she did that she would, she'd have to leave that $127,000 of her down payment in the home. And so I received that originally, marketed the house, got a second down payment. I can't remember what it was. Let's say $50,000 down payment for a second time. cash flowed larger than what she was paying. And I kept my promise. I gave her every penny in excess to what her payment was. And she thinks I am the greatest thing in the world to date because I didn't just foreclose on her and make her lose everything. To this day, she gets a check every single month when that new buyer pays. But
that's the beauty of doing business with a properly trained, moral, ethical real estate investor, because the bank would have never done her that kind of a solid.
Oh, heavens no. Absolutely not. But wait, that buyer called me like 4 months ago and was like, hey, I think I want to move, but I have somebody who wants it. And I said, say no more, get me in contact with that person. And so we ended up now selling it to the next. So I've sold the same house 1, 2, 3 times.
3 times? And did you collect 3 down payments?
What we ended up doing was giving the latest, most recent buyer basically the same credit as what the previous one did. And so I didn't necessarily receive a bunch of cash this most recent time, because she wasn't in any kind of hurt or whatever. She never stopped making payments. Mm-hmm. She just said, hey, will you help me? And I was like, heck yeah, I will. And so no receiving, if you will, of down payment on this last one, but still extended this one out longer, because if she would have just sold it outright, I would have gotten paid back and no cash flow. But saved it by saying, hey, we'll help seller finance it to the next guy, credit the down payment, have him pay you, reimburse you basically. And she's like, done. And so here we are, still cash flowing, selling the house 3 times. And that the original gal is still receiving a little bit of cash flow every single month from now the most recent buyer. And same thing, she's super grateful. Like, oh, thank you for saving that. She's like, I thought I was going to have to just stop receiving cash flow as soon as this house sold. I was like, no, I got you back. And so to answer your question, yes, technically I could foreclose and ruin their life and keep all that whatever and sell it a second time. But at the end of the day, was able to create a win-win for everybody. And yeah, she forfeited the down payment knowingly. Yeah. But she still got the best win she possibly could, and sings praises and has sent me more referrals at the end of the day. And so I'm not afraid if somebody stops making a payment. We'll figure something out. And like I say, out of 300 some odd deals and foreclosed on one, the only reason I had to do that because they literally ghosted me, could not communicate with them in any form or fashion. I was like, well, I can't just sit here and do nothing. And so, yeah, I did have to foreclose on that one. So Daine, but I find that most people, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I did have a question that I think is kind of important to highlight. And it's this: in the very beginning, when you were brand spanking new as an investor, how much time did you spend trying to find a deal?
Oh man, felt like my life. Like okay, all the
fast
time.
Forward 9 years. Like fast forward 9 years. You've built a reputation. You've got a following. You've got your name out there in the marketplace. How much time do you spend finding deals today?
If all I do is wake up and look at my phone, then I'm good. Like literally, I went out of town over the weekend, come home, check my emails. Well, today's Monday actually. Check my emails this morning, and I've got 3 more deals. Almost, somebody is submitting one as we speak. Actually, 4 more deals in my inbox to look at. And so nowadays, deals chase me versus me chasing them. And so today, like all I have to do is make sure that I look at my phone.
The point that I really wanted to drive home is that if you're going to be successful in real estate, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And too many individuals treat it like a sprint. They work to get their first deal done and they go, oh man, that was some work. I don't know if I'm going to do that again, right? And then what they're missing out on is all of the deals behind that get better and easier until you finally got a machine that just continues to crank them out. And you woke up this morning to 3 new deal possibilities. That's long-term vision. And that's what I mean by it's a marathon, not a sprint. You got to stay engaged and stay in the game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Now, listen, I know that Jay's got
Deals
some
will
questions
eventually
over
find
here. I've been hogging most of the time, but I got to make sure that he gets a few of these in. So I'm going to let him ask away.
So for everybody who's watching right now on YouTube, feel free to submit any of your questions there. We'll get them answered as quickly as we can. But the first question that came up is, what are the real tax advantages of doing seller financing?
Ooh, so we already went over 101. I don't know if we want to open a can of worms of 201, to get really into the nitty gritty on this. But if you noticed, I said that we lease optioned it first, and then we'll convert to seller financing. And when we do that, if this person is a student of Renatus and you have watched Tony Scotty's class, Contract for Deed, you might already be way ahead of me. But because of that, how it shows up on title, it actually looks like a rental. It looks like a rental with the bank. It looks like a rental on title. And there is just a contract for deed, or if, technically we're still on title, and there's a contract for deed out there pending saying that, hey, if they pay off this amortization schedule, because it looks like a mortgage, there's an amortization schedule, there's an interest rate, there's a payoff. If they called me tomorrow and said, hey, we're going to sell the house or refinance it, whatever, like they just pay us off and be their house or whatever. They sell it, they refinance it, whatever. But because of the nature of how that works, we actually get to take advantage of what Bob said. We can still depreciate while it's under the lease option status that, sure, eventually it will convert to seller financing, contract for deed. But I usually just say like, hey, we'll convert it with good behavior. Which means whenever I want, pretty much. And we still amortize it. I never wanted to be that guy that was like bait and switch. That's like, like for all these years you paid rent only. Like, no, we amortize it from day one, the very first payment. If they pay for 30 years, hey, there I am. For 30 years, they will own this house free and clear. And so we get even the benefit of the taxes. And I hate to say appreciation, because I mean, at the end of the day, we don't get that. But if we foreclose on it, or like in the case of that one that we did last year, if they turn it back over to us and that house appreciates, then the upside is insane, absolutely insane. So sorry, was the question twofold, or did they just ask taxes?
No, it was just that's amazing. So do you service your own notes? Sharon asked us that question.
I do not have that kind of time or patience to handle that. So even like the landlord that doesn't want to deal with their own landlording, like I'm the bank and I don't even want to deal with my own banking. And so I pay somebody that makes me look like I'm like a legit bank. They get a monthly statement, comes in their email, or they can mail it to them if they want it. They can pay online. They can set up auto pay. They can ACH. I mean, they can even pay with a credit card nowadays. I mean, they have to pay like the 3 or 4% fee or whatever it is. But yeah, I have somebody who handles all of that for me. They track that amortization automatically. They send out all the tax docs at the end of the year, and it's actually free to me. My client pays $30 a month or something like that. So my client pays that $30 a month for all that tracking, and it's free to me. Wow. And they track all of that. Yeah, but yeah, there's no way. I could not. I mean, I barely am good enough at logging in once a month to say like, okay, did everybody pay? So to deal with all that, no, I couldn't do that.
That's awesome. All right, we've got two more questions here. We're getting right up on top of the hour. So Spence asked, what courses in Renatus would be best to watch to help someone start or learn more about these strategies?
Well, if you may or may not have caught onto this, but let's call this that I consider myself very Renatus educated. I've watched so many of the Renatus classes and taken them to heart. And so this would be pull out your pen or paper or whatever. This would be like a hybrid of things that I've learned from basically the entire fix and flip track, the entire buy and hold track, lease options, but also sprinkled in some of Matt Armstrong's seller finance notes. A lot of what I learned from his class, I didn't end up going and buying seller finance notes, but a lot of what he does in his due diligence to buy the notes, I was thinking, okay, well, I'm just going to create the type of notes that Matt or Jeff Armstrong likes. And so a lot of this came from Jeff Armstrong's class. Tony Scotti was like the guy that helped me realize, like, oh, I don't have to own rentals. Oh, so Tony Scotti was the man. The raising money side, you'll probably notice, I talked a little bit about that. So raising money in partnerships, Matt Sorensen, private and hard money, Whitney Stark. Let's see who else. A whole bunch, but let's say those ones for starters.
My favorite part about what you just mentioned is a lot of those folks are going to be at the national conference. So that's awesome. That's really great. The last question I have for you here is, over the course of the next week, would you be willing to hop on to look at some of the comments that are coming up as questions on this video and answer those over the course of the next week?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Awesome. Okay.
Send me the video.
That's our questions.
Oh my goodness, man.
Just tell me how to find it.
Daine, I'll tell you what, I wish we would have had another hour here. I mean, I really do. It would be so great to just spend that much time with you. But you're such a rock star inside of the community. You're so willing to help so many other people. That's the thing that I love about Renatus and the family atmosphere that we've created here. And I did mean family. That's, friends who become family. And, the national conference, Jay mentioned it, it's kind of the hug fest that we have every single year. I can't wait to see you there, Daine. It's going to be outstanding. I can't wait to see again how the next 9 years of your life unfolds, because the last 9 years has been insane. I just feel like you are coming into your own. You're just hitting your stride right now. So, congratulations. You were one of those individuals who truly did get educated, equipped, and then you took action. You engaged. And can't thank you enough for being our special guest here on Renatus InvestEdge.
Well, I can't thank you guys enough for building Renatus. I mean, appreciate it.
It's what we do. And we're going to continue to do that as well. So thanks for being our guest. Hey, I just wanted to, make mention of something here. Now, listen, there's a lot of individuals that are going to be tuning into the show. They're going to be going, hey, you know what? I picked up some great tips here, some great ideas. Never thought about that seller finance thing. Don't have to own rentals. I can actually get cash flow over time and get money up front. I hope that whatever strategies we share with you, you are the beneficiary, and that, it really does help you in your real estate career. But if, on the other hand, you're looking at it going, man, I could still use a little assistance. We don't know whether or not you're a good fit for us. We don't know if we're a good fit for you, but we certainly encourage you. On the screen right now, you've got a QR code and you've got a little link there. Use either one. But you could actually book a 15-minute real estate investing consultation with one of our Renatus experts, just to see whether or not we've got some things that could help you in your investing career and help you get on track with your business. And when I say investing career, you might be a seasoned investor that's just looking to kind of sharpen your skills, or you might be a brand new person that doesn't know anything about real estate, wanting to know what we could do for you. Right there on your screen, book an appointment. Just 15 minutes, do a little consultation, and we'll see whether or not there's a way that we can assist you and serve you as we go forward. Outside of that, man, I'll tell you what, Jay, this has been a great call. Daine was a fantastic guest. This is another episode of Renatus InvestEdge. I think that's a wrap.
That absolutely is. Daine, thanks so much for being with us. You're a rock star. Your knowledge, your story is just inspirational. It's awesome.
Yep. Good day and God bless everybody.
Has one thing in common, they play it with dynamite. No risk means no reward, don't leave it up to fate. Set the charge and watch it burn, it's time to detonate. If it's to be